What if I told you the book you thought was on about productivity and habits is actually teaching you deep spiritual principles? Yes, I'm talking about Atomic Habits by James Clear. Here's what almost nobody realizes. Behind these productivity tips, it's really a spiritual guide disguised as a book on habits. And the beauty of it is, it helps you to keep one foot in both worlds, practical and spiritual. So in this video, I'll walk you through 5 principles from the book Atomic Habits and show you their deep spiritual connections that I bet you've never heard in any other book review videos on Atomic Habits. Number 1, how just 1% of improvements in overlooked and unexpected areas is enough to change the name of the game to manifest the life you desire. Number 2, setting goals out, setting the systems in, and their connection with the feminine masculine polarity concept. Number 3, self-concept and how to stop putting people on a pedestal. Number 4, motion versus action, or in other words, visioning versus aligned and inspired actions. Number 5, how to deal with boredom and frustration and stop taking score too soon while your blessings are on the way. This video is packed with insights, so don't worry if you can't watch it in one sitting. Feel free to come back anytime you want to, and also feel free to check the timestamps for the parts that most related to you. Hey, I'm Begum, and if you are new here, welcome to the space. On this channel, we explore the power of our spiritual selves while keeping a foot in both worlds, bringing wisdom from 5D into the 3D world that we are living in. I am here to bring you my best self so that you can align with your higher self to create real, tangible results in your everyday reality. I guess the one thing that makes the book Atomic Habits by James Clear a very famous one is that it provides a powerful perspective shift on a very common human fallacy. And that is, we all think that in order to make a huge impact, we need to make a huge change. However, it's not true. All we need is atomic habits and tiny little changes that compounds over time. Similarly, quantum leaps became a famous phenomenon in a spiritual community. However, the manifestations we label as quantum leaps are as a result of positive momentum in the right direction. Number 1, how improvements on overlooked and unexpected areas can change the whole name of the game. If you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then improve it by 1%, you will get a significant increase when you put them all together, it says in the book. There's a great story in the book that's about British cycling team, and when that team hired a new coach named Brailsford, what kind of massive changes that they've gone through, and the story goes like this. And when the new coach came to work with the British team, even some of the famous cycling gear companies refused to give their product to British team because they didn't want to be associated with a losing team, obviously. When Brailsford first started to work with the cycling theme, he made some small adjustments that many cycling themes would do, like redesigning the seats of the bicycles or rubbing alcohol on the tires in order to increase the grip. Brailsford made the theme go through some small, tiny, little changes, overlooked changes that probably no one could ever think of before him. They asked riders to wear electrically heated overshirts to maintain a muscle temperature to increase the performance. They tested different type of massage gels and to see which one helps the recovery of the riders even faster. They tested certain fabrics and had their outdoor riders switch to indoor racing suits because it was lighter and more dynamic. However, they didn't stop there. They keep on looking for overlooked areas and try to find places that they can make 1% improvements. They even hired a surgeon to help the riders to how to properly wash their hands so that they will not catch cold easily and fall behind the team. They work on finding the optimum pillow or the mattress for each riders to optimize their sleep. And this one is a bit bizarre. They even painted the inside of the team truck white just to catch any dust that may, change the tune of the bicycles, which are sensitively tuned. If this one is not like a 1% improvement, then what is? And 5 years after Brailsford took over the management of the British cycling team, they won the 60% of the gold medals in the Olympics in 2008, and then they won 5 years consecutively in Tour de France, which is the most prestigious cycling race. And here is how the math works according to the book. If you can get get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. And think about it, even after chasing our goals with so much motivation, maybe we've created a momentum and started to see some changes and manifestations here and there, but then one day of low, and if we are not careful, we may go back to this loophole again, thinking that, oh, I need to start all over again, I'm a complete loser, and things like that. But actually, the truth is, you are one mindset shift away from getting back into alignment. You just have to recognize and be aware that you are slipping back into the old programming. You don't have to start all over again. You just need to become maybe 1% sharper than you were yesterday in catching yourself when you get back into the old programming. That's often all it takes to get back into alignment. Tiny adjustments, 1% improvements. If you like this video, then I bet you will like the one where I review the points from a very little known book by Eckhart Tolle, The Practicing the Power of Now. And if you like, you can check it out next. You can think of some personal experiences from your life where making a small change creates a big impact without needing to make a big change on the thing, on the problem, or on the process. I believe sometimes we don't need exceptional problem-solving skills, but just need to ask the right questions. And here is a good question. Think about life areas you feel struggle or stuck. Can you make a small change to improve the situation rather than giving up on it all together? If you want better results, forget about setting goals. Instead, focus on setting your systems. This will lead to our second point. James Clear describes this point that we're going to discuss in a minute as the core theme of the book. He gives so much importance on the overall systems rather than focusing on a single goal. Atomic habits are a part of a larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of amazing results. We all think that in order to make a huge impact, we need to make a big change. People in the spiritual community talks about quantum leaps, but actually quantum leaps are not big leaps that happen overnight. It is a momentum that we direct in the right direction, and then over time, it creates results. Abraham Hicks says that, and some call her the mother of law of attraction. She says that your manifestations will not look so big or so remarkable when time comes for you to manifest them actually. They become almost like your next logical step. It becomes like something that you naturally expect because you've already done the work, and they're like the natural results that you expect to see. Those people who are going through those big changes, they almost always religiously and relentlessly follow a certain system that takes them to that big change, to that quantum leap actually. They've done all the work to come to that point, to become that version of themselves. So they know what they're going through, and they know that the quantum leaps are just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so here's the picture that this whole structure thing that's been talked about in the book has created in my mind. Imagine the structures or the systems that we have, the masculine force of nature, and within that frame, the creativity and the freedom that we get is imagine them as the feminine force of nature. You know, we feel creative and we feel free within certain frames and structures because we feel safe within them. We feel protected and we kind of know what to do, when to do, and to a certain extent, this is very valuable and this is very helpful. You might already be so familiar with these masculine and feminine analogies, but if you're not, you can think of masculine energy is the more solid, the frame, the structure kind of energy, and the feminine energy is associated with more like flowy type of energy, opposite of solid, more creative, more free. But both of them obviously need one another to co-create and coexist together in a harmonious way. Feminine energy needs masculine energy because creativity requires a structure, a rule-based system in order to flourish. And also the masculine structures need feminine energy in order to feel more lively within the things that they do. So if structures doesn't have any spirit in it, if it doesn't touch to our emotions, then we won't feel motivated enough to keep doing them because we won't relate with them easily if it doesn't touch our emotions. So the same way, if we cannot protect the flame of the creativity, then it's not going to be long-lived. When a woman lean into their feminine energy, they may feel so creative, full of ideas, flowing in the present moment. But if they are not connecting with their masculine energy enough, then they will be complaining about, oh, I have a lot of ideas, but I cannot make them real in my physical world, why I cannot make them happen, and they feel so burdened by the creative energy that they feel. Okay, so from a man's point of view, when a man knows what he wants, he may create successful structures, rules, and systems in his life, but if he's unable to balance the feminine forces within himself and he cannot leverage the feminine energy he naturally has, then maybe he lacks the meaning in life. Maybe he cannot relate to his goals from his heart. He may feel a little bit bored or feel dull, like kind of following that routine over and over again every day. To wrap it up, in order to have success, we definitely need a holistic view. Of course, we need goals. We need to know where are we going, but we also need structures to have in place in order to pursue those goals. We need plans, we need systems, we need to work towards those goals. We can't just sit and wait around, obviously. But it's almost like a head and a heart. I mean, if we can associate structures with the head, then the goals are the things that speak to our heart. Without things coming from the heart, the goals are not true to our being, then it doesn't matter how many plans we have in a day, or even if we have a wonderful structure, over time we will not feel motivated enough to pursue those things if the goals, the heart, and the emotions are not attracting and asking for our attention through following those structures. And then the merging of it will create the long and lasting changes and success. Here's our questions. Do you need more structure in your life, or do you need more creative flows? How can you ensure your creative sparks be long-lived? Or how can you invite more ease and flow and more creativity into your already planned structures and systems? Point number 3, the people with the best self-control are usually the ones who need to use it the least. This one is special for me because I can relate to it so much. I've been struggling with lack of self-discipline a lot in my life, throughout my life, in different periods of my life actually. And for a long time, I was thinking that in order to overcome this, I need to be more self-disciplined, I need to be more hardworking, I need to feel more motivated, and I need to tap into my willpower even more. But however, this was not the correct approach in so many ways. And James Clear, he says that disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control. In other words, they spend less time in tempting situations. This one was a huge game changer for me because I believe the opposite was true. I thought that the people who are disciplined are the ones who has the biggest willpower. This point actually leads me to mention comparison trap here because, these days it is so easy to compare ourselves with other people. Everybody is out there, everybody is sharing their achievements and all, and it can be so easy to feel guilty of the things that we couldn't do. It's so easy to feel bad about the things that we seemingly think that we're behind or doing worse than other people. And this also leads us to put other people on a pedestal. We see some people who are successful than us, and it's only our perception and our judgment, and we automatically create an image in our mind, maybe, and most of the time probably unrealistic image about them, that, oh, okay, look at them, they must be so hardworking, they must have a massive to-do list for a day. We don't know whether they are more hardworking than us. We don't know whether they have biggest willpower than us. We don't know whether they have, better self-judgment, emotional IQ, or it doesn't matter, what you're thinking about them that is better than you. But the important thing is, actually, they probably have better structures than us. That could be one thing that we all could agree. Because if we see them as successful, if we consider them as like successful, and if we are trying to create a similar success, we can be sure that they have good structures, better structures, which is actually focused on this book a lot of the times. We need to structure our day-to-day life in a way that will prevent us from using massive willpower. And when do we need to use massive willpower? When we are at the dip, are already in place, structures will allow the natural flow of life and make things easier. Problems coming in will not make a huge issue in our life. Imagine that you already have a tidied up wardrobe, the t-shirts are going that place and then the shirts, they're on that line. In these circumstances, 5 new pieces coming in to be placed in the wardrobe will not create a big problem for you because you already know which goes to where. However, if you have a total mess going on in your wardrobe, then 5 pieces, just 5 of them, will be enough to make you feel overwhelmed, make you feel like, it will be enough for you to create a very unrealistic picture about yourself, that you're a total loser, you can't finish nothing on time, and so on. I personally really like that example, and I hope that this example was helpful to create a picture in your mind about the structures in our life. And here are some good questions to ask. What are some of the struggles in your life that you make it larger than they are? What are some of the problems you believe you need massive willpower to turn them around? Point number 4, motion versus action, and how can you cure your procrastination? This one is a really interesting one, actually. Sometimes we feel like there is so much going on in our life, a lot of movements, but not so much things happening as a result at the end. Probably it's because in those times we are more in motion rather than action. Motion is where we are planning, strategizing, getting ready to take action. And even though it is very necessary, it doesn't produce the results that action will do. And if we prolong that process more than it's necessary, then we fall into this one trap. If motion doesn't lead to results, then why do we do it? So here is the trap. Motion makes us feel that we're making progress without running the risk of failure. It's easy to be in motion and still convince yourself that you are making progress. The thing is, when preparation becomes a form of procrastination, it is a time for us to make some changes. Sometimes activities like preparation, research, studying, planning can become our comfort zone without us recognizing it. And we use those activities as excuses not to do the main thing, the star of the show. Star of the show for me and for my business is recording YouTube videos. But do I record enough YouTube videos that would make me happy? Actually, no, I'm not. But the times that I'm not recording, I am still busy. I'm still doing a lot of things, taking care of a lot of activities for my business. But those activities are actually laying on the side of kind of comfort zone activities for me. The cure for procrastination is definitely awareness, because 70% of the time, or even higher than that, we're not even aware of our comfort zone activities. We think that it's just like the nature of the business, it's the nature of life. I have to do this, I have to do that. We're not even aware that we're avoiding certain things. We always have very valid excuses not to do them. Also, visioning, planning, setting intentions are all great, but the language of this realm that we're living in, which is 3D world, is action. The language of this world is action. But I don't mean hustle and hard working. What I refer to is aligned actions. Following our intuition, following our bliss, even if we cannot see what is next, still keeping the vision in our heart and going with faith in the unseen, and literally focusing on what is in front of us. What life has put in front of us is the next step. Even if we cannot see how it might be connected with our greater vision, believe me, it is all connected, and with every step we are getting closer. Everything is a stepping stone, and there is nothing accidental happening in this world. Trust and take the actions that is right in front of you. And believe me, no matter how many hours of research you do on a certain topic or study other people's lives, the answers that you will get as a clue to help you get ahead in your life will always come from you and from your own quiet times, actually. Only you can give the key answers to your key problems in your life. So here are the key questions that you can ask to yourself to get the key answers as a result. Where do I hang around emotion more than necessary in my life? How can I comfortably step out of my comfort zone, aka motion activities, and start taking the actions that I really want to take as the star of my own show? What will be that one action, if I do it every single day and stick to it, would give me the results that I want to see in my life in 3 months, in 6 months, or in 1 year? Once you are very comfortable with that one action and put it in place and make it a norm in your life, then you can continue with other actions as well. Number 5, how to deal with the boredom that naturally arises after repeating certain actions over and over again. Greatest threat to success is not failure, but it is boredom, says James Clear. The same way I was thinking that disciplined people has bigger willpowers, I was also thinking that successful people has bigger reserves of motivation to do the repetitive tasks. However, over time, things get boring, not because we keep repeating the same actions, but because we lose the surprise factor in repetition. And over time, things become familiar, starts to yield same results, and then we stop doing them altogether. But it doesn't have to be that way. When I was reading those lines and this chapter in Atomic Habits, it reminded me of Dr. Joe Dispenza and his teachings. And if you don't know about him, he's a neuroscientist and he's very famous with his meditations. And his main motto is actually demystify the mystical, spiritual, the esoteric teachings. Dr. Joe in his teachings also focuses on this boredom and surprise factor. According to him, success also depends on consistency and repeating same actions over and over again. And in his teachings, it is repeating the meditative activities like every day. Bringing meditation as one of the pillars in your day-to-day life. And also, he says you need to consistently overcome your old self in order to become and create a new identity and a new self. For many people, coming to Dr. Joe's teachings are the people who are looking for certain outcomes as a result of meditation. While there is not much wrong in that expectation, because we all know that meditation can help us, loosen up, relax, connect with the divine even more, connect with ourselves even more. So obviously there are results that we get out of it. Every day we sit on this meditation cushion expecting to feel a certain way once we open our eyes when we finish our meditation. And this actually causes some expectation. I want to feel great when I finish that meditation. I want to get healed once I do this meditation practice, I don't know, a month or 2 months or 3 months. So there are couple of problems with that. One is boredom. We sit, we expect the same result and over again. Sometimes we get to see certain results, and they are positive, but we got so used to them, so they again become so familiar, and we still feel bored repeating the same actions. And the second problem here is that if we cannot get the results that we expect, then it will be so easy for us to drop that activities altogether. So what's Dr. Joe's solution to that is actually allowing the divine to play with us, with removing the expectations, the known factor. He says that the unknown, the mystical, the divine can only come into picture if we stop filling all that space with the known, with the expectation. And he says synchronicity and healing, new changes happen in the unknown. So in order to become a different version of ourselves, we have to leave what's known behind and then step into this unknown space for a while in order to create, and right before we get onto this new state, new chapter in our life. So he believes that people who can stay longer with this boredom, according to James Clear, and unknown, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says that if you can stay with this unknown for a longer, if you can stay with this boredom for a longer periods, then you can break through, then you can break free from that past, and you can go into that new state easily. To wrap it up, stay with the boredom Stay with the unknown. Keep doing what you believe you need to repeat in order to get to the results you want to achieve, and keep doing them without expecting nothing. And believe me, you're not gonna stay in that unknown. You're not gonna stay in that, oh, I'm doing it but I'm not getting any results state longer, because life will create with you. Life will co-create with you, and it is going to bring some synchronicities in your life as next steps, new peoples, new circumstances, new motivations, new feelings, new visions, and all. You just gotta keep the faith until something becomes more apparent to you in your journey. Like a fork will be so apparent to you that you'll know which direction. So don't be afraid of the boredom, or don't be afraid of the unknown. Keep going until things become so apparent to you that you cannot deny them, that you cannot deny either to jump on it, move forward, or drop it all together and start with something new. But it will be so apparent for you if you keep doing the work, if you can stay with the boredom enough, if you can stay with the unknown and trust and have faith in life, in yourself, in your abilities, and in the divine. And here are your questions. What breaking points in your life disguised as boredom? When you listen to your heart, in which direction do you feel that you need to go just a little bit further in order to receive the results that you are longing for? Well, thank you very much for sticking till the end. If you're curious about other books that I love reading or exploring, you can check out my free book list. If you like this video, then I bet you will like that one too. Feel free to check it out next.